Hello and welcome to All Around Annapolis. I'm your host, Rhonda Wardlaw. I'm so glad that you're joining us today because it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you an exceptional group of men, women, and animals that are changing the lives of Annapolis residents. I'd like to introduce to you some of the current working members of our chapter, of our capital chapter of Canine Companions for Independence. It's a nonprofit organization that breeds, trains, and places assistance dogs with children and adults with disabilities. Established in 1975, the Canine Companions is recognized worldwide for the excellence of its dogs along with the quality and longevity of its matches. I can go on and tell you so much about this, but I'm going to let not only these exceptional people as well as our companions tell you more about it. I'd like to start with the introduction of Debbie Strickenberg and her companion Fletch. And then we have Emerson Davis and Eaton. And then we have Mike Hartsky and Nyack.
Very good.
Oh my gosh. So I've never had this many people, and I'm going to include our companions as people on the set at any one time. So thank you so much for all being with us.
Thank you.
We're glad to be here.
Debbie, let me start with you. When we talk about puppies, and these are puppies because we're going to start our program talking about puppy raisers and the different level of work that goes through from the minute they're born through to get them to a certain point and then get them with their actual companions that they'll stay with. But these are big dogs, but they're still considered puppies.
Right. Fletch is 15 months.
Wow.
So I've had him since he was 8 weeks and 3 days.
Let's talk a little bit about how you as an individual were even chosen or introduced into this whole program.
We lived temporarily out of state, and when we lived out of state for a while in the 90s, we met someone who raised service dogs, and so we had that in the back of our mind and were interested in doing something like that in the future. And about 5 years ago, our last two kids finished college, got married, and left home, and we'd always had pets, golden retrievers usually, and decided that we would really like to get another dog, but we didn't just want to get a pet. We thought we would do something to help others as well as enjoy a pet. So we checked out organizations and chose Canine Companions for Independence for a number of reasons. They had a very good reputation on the charity level. They offer their dogs at no charge. We'd met someone who had one of their dogs, and so that was our choice to give them a call. We had a long interview, and after the interview they told us we could raise a puppy, but we had to go to New York. Long Island is where the facility is that we turn our puppies in when they're ready to be fully trained. And spent a whole day there meeting our puppy and being interviewed and helping us get started. So that's pretty much where we began, and this is our fourth puppy.
Excellent. Emerson, how about you? What number is this for you and your family?
This is our first.
This is your first?
Yes.
How long will you be with Eaton before you'll go ahead and pass Eaton on to a family for further training?
He'll be with us, as Debbie said. We get them when they're 8 weeks of age, and we turn them in for advanced training at approximately 16 to 18 months of age. So they're usually with the puppy raiser for about 16 months before they get turned in for advanced training.
I've got to ask this question, how do you let them go?
Well, that's the number one question we always get asked.
I'll bet.
Is how do you let them go? Well, to begin with, we know going into the program what the program's set up to be. They're not our dogs to begin with. The dogs come, they are all they're bred and born in California. CCI does their own breeding program. So the dogs belong to CCI to begin with. So we know that going in. And then when you meet the working dogs, the actual service dogs, and you see the service they provide to people with disabilities, you understand what the need is, and you understand what you're working towards. I'm not saying it's not difficult to hand them off, but it's for a bigger and greater cause. It's just giving an incredible gift to somebody else who has a disability that can't perform the same task that you can, and just give them a gift as a dog.
And I also understand that oftentimes you continue to keep in touch with the animal after you've handed them off?
That's correct. It's the option of the recipient whether they want to maintain relationship or contact. We have no obligation, or they don't either, to keep us informed about how the dog's doing or continuing. But the nice thing about it, we do get letters. We do get notes, thank you notes, and Christmas cards every year from how they're doing. And one of the greatest things that ever happened to me in this particular program, besides first starting, was to have an opportunity when one of the teams called back that received one of my dogs, the CCI dogs. I keep saying my dog, but it's CCI.
Rule number one.
Well, you live it. They live with you every day, so it becomes very much part of your life.
Sure.
They asked if I could take their dog back for a week while they go to a disability seminar down south. And I was elated because for that week, now I had to be careful because the bonding has already occurred with the new people and all that, and I was very respectful of that. But for the whole week's time, I had a great opportunity of taking the dog and floating him out on the lake and doing things and caring for him and with the respective distance and keeping a separation. But one of the things that happened when they actually returned is that they stayed for the night at the house after their week. I got up, left my chair to go to the refrigerator, and the dog followed me. Followed me. Then he caught himself halfway and realized he wasn't to be me. And he turned around and went back to her, and everybody in the room just went, "Oh, wow."
Wow.
Absolutely.
And
held
you
the
must have
bonding.
been so proud.
Well, they're very well
Touched,
trained. Yes.
but proud.
It's doing this work. I have to tell you something. Doing this work is just something absolutely amazing because you don't do it for yourself. You do it for others. And you remember at times when everybody was growing up, there were people that were special in our lives that did things for you, and you never had a chance to return that favor. So community service, and this is my thing I like to do. So it gives me the opportunity to do something for somebody else that someone did for me in the past. If this means that I have to dedicate 100% of my time to raise these pups, I don't mind doing that because it's really not about me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so interesting too, Debbie, because in the name, it's Canine Companions for Independence. And talk to me a little bit about, as puppies, what are you trying to work with them on as far as helping the person be independent?
Okay, well, we have commands that we teach, and some of them are basics, the downs, the sits, walking politely by our side, and we have them walk on either side in case the person can't use one or the other arms.
Okay.
So we do it a little bit differently than you would a pet. We take them to restaurants, vacations, buses, metro, things like that, so that they become totally accustomed to proper behavior in public, so that when the person receives the dog, they're comfortable and their dog is ready to go out and behave properly in public and not have a problem. Our last dog that graduated, the young man has cerebral palsy, and now that he has a dog, he said he can move out of home. So he received the dog last May, and his goal is to have his own place by January. Because now he can do that. He can have the dog help him with things that he couldn't do on his own.
Right. What's the worst thing, any of you, that I already know I made a big mistake. I just look at you guys. They are so adorable, and my first reaction was go up and go, "Oh," and you just want to pet them and love them. And other than my mistake of people coming up and just petting the animal before asking, what's some of the really bad things we as a public can do to interrupt this process that's so important to the puppy?
Well, one of the problems I've had is people with out-of-control dogs when you're out. Because these dogs are very amazingly gentle. They really, they don't understand fighting back. They really don't. They're just so calm all the time. And we've had on a walk even a dog attack this one actually. And he just got behind me trying to get away from the dog because he didn't know what to do. So that's one of the issues I've run into is people that don't have their dogs under control when they're out.
Right.
I have a couple instances, and Emerson I'm sure has as well. But the biggest thing is that you have to understand that part of our job of raising these pups is not only teaching them their 20, 25, 30 commands, the total of how many when they get farther down the line, but it's also to educate the public. So we do a lot of education out there. And I mean, we've even set, it's a good thing that people come and ask about. I see a dog that's wearing a cape, and we always encourage that they ask first before they take the approach. But them being adorable and stuff, it's called an attractive nuisance. Little kids this big would go over and do it, and and you educate the public on what's the right way of doing things, so that when they actually become service dogs, okay, people then respect what their purpose in life and what it's all about.
Yeah. Emerson, the color that they're currently draped in, is this only for Canine Companion, or is this an international color?
No,
Like
these are Canine Companion colors, and the yellow vests are puppies in training.
Okay.
And then you'll see in another segment where the graduate dogs wear blue vests.
Okay.
And they only have 2 designations for Canine Companions, or yellow vests for training, and blue vests for graduate dogs.
Excellent. You know, earlier we were talking a little bit about, as puppy raisers, you get quite an in-depth process of interviewing. What are some of the things that they're looking for in the raiser? You know, I'm looking for a cute puppy that's going to lay at my feet. You know, different than working with the organization. But it's funny because now the roles are reversed, and they're interviewing you to make sure you're a good companion.
I don't know. I think that the biggest thing is what the program is looking for is people that have a level of dedication in their hearts to serve the public in the best interest in that way. And what does that mean? I think they always have, the program, excuse me, has outreach to try to find puppy raisers. And you know, a small percentage of these dogs actually make it through to the actual level of being in service. But
let's just talk on that for a brief moment. So they might go through the however many months that they're being trained and not advance to the next stage?
That's correct.
Okay.
There's when they go to advanced training, they have the process begins with the first few weeks as for a medical evaluation to determine whether they're physically capable of enduring the remaining process, which is the physical, mental, emotional training that they're going to go through. These dogs go through quite a temperament training and testing for various types of reactions in environments and alike like that.
Okay.
So, but getting back to the dogs that don't make the program, like a Nyack, he's got to stretch his legs. But these dogs end up becoming very well loved pets for many people. But you know, they're not failures. They're always success stories, because you know what these dogs have gone through during this whole period of our caring for them and training. It is the education of the public towards the program itself. So they say, why? I wish my dog could do that. I wish I can do that. We can do that. Well, don't wish. You can actually become a puppy raiser by contacting the program and getting involved, just like everyone is.
Yeah, and we'll give all that information shortly. But also, Emerson, is there a real need right now for raisers?
Absolutely. You have a big push on for raisers right now, because that's where it all starts, you know, with the raisers. So you need the raisers in order to get the puppies prepared to go off to advanced training.
Absolutely. What was the hardest thing as a raiser that you've gone through so far? I'm sorry, I liken animals to children because I've had both. And I love my animals as much as I love my children. Talk to me about the most difficult thing. Was there a setback for your companion or something that hurt you, or what's been a difficult time as a raiser? We don't want to make people think it's all easy. Then you have the successful dog and you pass it on. There's got to be some tough times too.
Well, I don't know if you would consider them tough times, but I think, like Mike says, it's the devotion of the time to put into the program to prepare the dog for advanced training.
Okay.
And I think that's what it comes down to. One of the biggest questions we get asked also, besides how do you give them up, is, well, how much time do you have to spend training them? And I don't consider it a specific time to devote to training, because they're always training. Yes. They're training right now while they're sitting here.
He's training right now. I could see what you were doing.
Right.
Yes.
As we're having this meeting, you know, they're not, you know, they're down. They're not supposed to be bothering us. So they're always training.
Yes.
And and as Debbie said, it's providing opportunities for those trainings. It's taking them on subways. It's taking them on planes, trains. It's taking them out to restaurants, grocery stores. And you just have to be willing to do that and devote that time. So I don't think there's any negative aspects to that. I just think that if you're going to do the puppy raising, it's just more than just cuddling with a cute little puppy. It's putting the time in. And however you do it. We have a lot of puppy raisers, like Eaton goes to school every day with my wife, who's a school teacher.
Lovely.
So, and different people can provide different opportunities for their puppies for learning experiences like that. And I think that's the main part, is just being able to provide those opportunities for the puppies. And
we trade around too. Our last puppy before he graduated went over to their house and went to school with his wife.
Oh,
Just so we
great,
will
yeah.
Had that
puppy
experience.
sit, right? We puppy sit for each other. We trade puppies so they can experience something new. So the puppy raiser group is a really pretty close unit. We help each other out. If we have an issue with one of our puppies that's doing something that we're not sure how to fix, we talk to the other puppy raisers. So you don't just do it on your own either.
And how many puppy raisers will be training at any one time in the
Oh.
Annapolis chapter or in the Capital City chapter?
I don't know. I don't have a total for how many puppy raisers are part of our chapter, which is what the capital
Capital
Capital.
chapter.
Northern Virginia, Washington D.C. Oh goodness gracious!
There's probably about 50.
50.
Okay.
Because I know we break it down. We have a capital chapter. We break it down to the Virginia portion and the Maryland portion. And in the Maryland portion, we have between 20 to 25 puppy raisers in Maryland, and probably that equivalent number in Northern Virginia area.
And as you said, there's a big need right now for raisers, which means there's a bigger need for the
Advanced dogs.
advanced dogs.
Absolutely.
Which
Yep.
we're going to talk about in just a minute. Tell me, anyone at any one time, what are some of the things that you're training? Now, we were out in the hall. Let's talk a little bit about, I saw none of you, I was a nervous wreck because there's all these adorable puppies laying out there and people are just walking over them, you know, and they're not moving, not a muscle. That obviously is one of the training exercises.
We have to step back a little bit. We don't do this by ourselves, as it was mentioned in here, but we also have a structured training program
Okay.
that every other week we have a class.
Okay.
So the instructors at Coventry for our area are volunteer people and have stayed close, have close ties with CCI in our Northeast region trainers, so that they know that they can train the dogs on a consistent basis. So if someone wants to become a puppy raiser, they're not on their own.
Okay.
Because they have a lot of people supporting them. The network of people that she was describing, and then the actual physical training and temperament training that we it's all part of the training. And you know, you get the dog at 8 weeks old, and that's when you start. That's when you put on the gentle leader. That's when you start with the training. So a week to 10 days from now, or whatever, the dog has gained that much more experience, and he builds upon that. He builds upon that, and our network really is very, very supportive. And I've been in Northern Virginia for a while, moved out of Annapolis just over a year ago, and I find so many consistencies in the program, which has to be that way in order to have the same quality of dogs that are going forward in advanced training. And I don't know what the percentage is from our particular chapter for success ratios, but it's nice to know someone down the line. But at the same time, I've seen people that take these dogs and do such a great job with them for someone else.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, what we talk about training, other people kind of perceive as tricks.
Oh, interesting.
Like one of the things that we do is, you know, and everything is by age qualification. You know, as they're older, they're tasked more. So when they get to the older stages, I mean, we can literally take and throw food at them, and they will not pick up that food off the floor because they have to learn the only way they take food is if you hand it to them. They can't, because that's preparing them for advanced training. Because they can't go into a restaurant as a year-old puppy and think the restaurant floor is their smorgasbord. They can only pick up food if you hand it to them. So there could be food on that restaurant floor, and they have to step over it. They have to totally ignore it. So when people see us putting food on their paws and leaving it there, or they're sitting there and we throw food at their feet and they're not picking it up, some people think that's a trick. And actually it's training, and it's preparing them for advanced training.
Absolutely. Do people ever stop you and say, what, you know, can you do any other tricks? I mean, have you ever had that happen to you?
A lot of people question, our puppies wear gentle leaders, which is what's around their nose. A lot of people think that those are there to keep them from biting, or you know, like a muzzle.
Yes.
And it's not. That's a big question I get when I'm out. It's not a muzzle. It's like a halter on a horse, and basically it just helps them not pull. They can eat, they could drink. If they wanted to, they could bite you, but they wouldn't. But
Right.
they can do everything. It just keeps them, it's not around their neck, so they're not choking, you know, 'cause you'll see people walking like this.
The dog's walking the person.
Yes.
Yes.
And this helps that not happen.
Okay.
So that's one of the big questions I get.
Concept is where the nose goes, the body goes.
Right.
And that's the concept behind
The same as
gentle
horse
leader.
halter, the
Just
same
like
thing.
a horse.
Okay.
Where the horse's nose goes, the body goes. That's why it goes towards the halter. That's why they were
And
generally.
it's
See, you're educating us as we're listening to this, so this
it's
is
very
wonderful.
gentle with them, and but most of the time people just ask questions about what, some more children know about service dogs than parents sometimes. We've done in local public schools, we've gone and done programs to help educate the kids, and in 3rd grade in this county, the majority of kids do a book in about a service dog. I think it's a guide dog. And so they kind of have an idea already, and they'll tell their parents, oh, that's a dog, that's a working dog he helps, or a helper dog, they call them. But a few of them will ask questions about it and what we do, and the typical, like we said before, the big question is, how can you give them up? And
Oh, well, listen, I met him about a month ago, and then the minute we all kind of reunited in the hallway, Nance, who you're going to meet in a minute, I'm already all over her dog, loving on it, going, as I'm looking up, can I pet it?
Yeah, oops.
Because I know they're such gentle creatures. What, with the few minutes that we have left before we go to the next group, what advice would you offer to anyone listening that might be thinking this might be a program for them, but they're just not sure, and take it in no specific order?
Make the call and discuss it with somebody. You can, the capital chapters on the line, the contact numbers are there. CCI is a national organization. They have all the appropriate numbers. They'll put you in touch with a puppy raiser. You can come to a training class. You can witness a training class. There's a lot of, just get the information. If you think you'd like to do it, just contact us, and we would be more than happy to sit down and discuss, the opportunities to puppy raise.
And all of the numbers and the web address are at the bottom of the screen as we continue to talk. So go ahead.
And even as a person who's doing it, we really enjoy it, and it's like, you just fall in love with the dogs. But then when you go to graduation, you fall in love with the person that has your puppy. Going to a graduation is nice. It's in New York, but once you go to a graduation, I don't know how you can walk away and not want to raise a puppy. It's just, that's pretty amazing. It's tearful, but it's good tears.
Oh, wonderful. Anything you want to add to that, Mike?
Oh, just one more thing, which is really a great thing too, is that the closeness of our chapter and relationship that we have with each other. We transition from puppy raisers to people that have the service dogs. So it keeps us in check, and as a reminder of what we're doing is a great thing. What we're going to do for them is even better. So, and as a result of our relationships, we grow as a chapter. We encourage others to participate. We have campaigns for trying to get people to contribute for a nonprofit organization. That's what Canine Companions is all about. And as volunteer puppy raisers, we do this at no cost to the program. We incur all the expenses.
It's all your own money. It's all your own time and
it's all part
energy.
of it. Yeah, it's all part of that.
It's so they can give the dogs to people at no charge.
Yes.
So they can have one.
And it's great opportunities like this that you have provide the program for us to get the word out as well. We call this outreach. But you guys do a wonderful job here at the mayor's office and all to help us with this. Thank you.
Well, it's just so I can hang out with my pals.
They're great puppies.
Well, we want to go ahead and remind everyone to call 1-800-572-BARK. Let me do that again. 1-800-572-BARK. Or you can go online to cci.org/northeast. And of course, that information will stay on the bottom of our screen during our next segment as well, because we're going to bring in some of the people that have benefited from Canine Companion for Independence. And gentlemen, I would like to thank you all so much, my little Fletch, Eaton, and Nyack. Okay, listen to me. Don't move. See how well they do? They're amazing creatures. Stay with us. All around Annapolis. We'll be back after this short message. Thank you all.
Welcome to my block party. Glad you can make it.
The only triple doubles you get come with fries.
Last time you blocked someone, you were online.
I can do this all day. Your moves are just gay.
Using gay to mean dumb or stupid, not cool.
Not cool.
Not in my house, not anywhere. It's not creative, it's offensive to gay people. And you're better than that.
Hello and welcome Welcome back to All Around Annapolis. I'm your host, Rhonda Wardlaw. Well, you just heard from the puppy raisers with our incredible group, Canine Companions for Independence, and now we're talking with some of the individuals in our area that's actually benefiting from these amazing canines. I'd like to introduce to you Sean McDonough and his mom, Karen. Nice to have you both here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cindy Patterson, and we have Nance Patterson, but more importantly, as I become very affectionate to these animals, I'd like to introduce to you Belmont, which is Sean's companion, and then we have Carlisle, which is Cindy's companion, and Mahler, which I'm going to be walking away from the studio with. Everybody knows. I met Nance about, what, a month ago, and I was ready to walk away with Mahler.
Mahler does that to people.
Yes.
He has that effect, and that's what's helped my life so much.
Well, tell me, you said somebody has, or several people have actually stopped you in the street.
I get stopped on the street all the time having people ask me, is that Mahler? Because of articles and the things we go out and do to help people understand about service dogs.
Yeah.
But once they meet Mahler, they're just brought into the program because he's the best.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, nothing about trying to get competitive here. However, Sean, I've got to ask you, how long have you had Belmont?
Since February.
Since February, so relatively new.
Yep, yep. We just had our recertification. After when you initially get a dog, you have to go back after 6 months to have your public access test recertified. And they watch you to make sure that you have proper doggy etiquette and do all the things that the dog is supposed to do. So we just finished doing that a month ago.
Well, we were talking with the puppy raisers earlier, and we were talking about some of the exercises and the various things that they went through. But can you tell me a little bit, Nance, about once they say thank you so much, all of their love and attention is now passed over to CCI, and the dogs are given, what happens at that point to the animal?
The CCI gets the dogs from the puppy raisers, as you said, and then they're evaluating and working with the dogs the professional trainers are and looking at their skills and their temperament, because they only want to place dogs that are happy to work, not only that are brilliant, and they all are, by the way, but he's perfect for me. And so what I meant by that is CCI is exceptional in matching the person to the dog. So for me, Mahler is the perfect dog. Yes, you are. And each of these people can say the same thing, but there are 4 types of dogs that they raise, and the trainers are looking at that to see what the dog might be more suited for, the type of work.
And tell me what the 4 types are.
He's my service dog, and so he works with the person with the physical disability, and for me, he will pull my wheelchair, he'd down. Thank you.
He was ready to pull, I think.
Yeah, he seems like ready to go. Gets things I can't reach, opens heavy doors, turns on lights. There's nothing this dog cannot do. He just can see what's out of place and responds to my need. There are also skilled companion dogs who are as highly trained as the service dogs, which is what Belmont is for Sean, and works with people with disabilities if they are younger than 18 and have you want to tell about?
Yeah, when the person with a disability is not able to handle the dog on their own, Nancy can handle Mahler, so he's a service dog. Belmont is classified as a companion dog. So Belmont does not go to school with Sean because Sean needs assistance to handle the dog. But everywhere that we can go together as a trio, the mall, the doctor's office, the grocery store, restaurants,
the bank,
then that's why he's a companion. But truly, the reason we got a dog for Sean is just to be his companion at home. They sit, they watch TV together, they sleep in the same bed. He hogs the bed.
Hogs the bed.
As the night goes on, Belmont stretches out, and Sean has to tell him off, so he gets off the bed. Belmont is very in tune to Sean. We'll come to him if Sean is calling for me, and I'm out of his earshot. He will he's now figured, okay, I'm mom, I need to go, and alert me that Sean needs me. He is a social bridge for Sean. Sean is he's a talkative kid, but maybe for a child with autism who may not speak, or a child who has other difficulties, and people then become or see the child or the individual as the kid that's got the cool dog, not the kid in the wheelchair. So that, for that purpose.
And your dog, Sean, also, while you call him Belmont, Dad has a different name for him.
Yeah.
What?
He came up with Boo Boo.
Boo Boo.
Yeah.
So do you call him Boo Boo, or do you just? Is it always Belmont?
He said it came to him in a dream.
Dad said it came to him in a dream.
In a
but
dream.
Yeah, but Sean has a variety of nicknames for Belmont. Yeah.
So just one.
That's just one of
That's
his many
just one of the
nicknames.
many.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
for
just
me,
two
I
of
wanted
the
to, I wanted
four.
to make sure I
Yeah.
covered the other ones. For me, Mahler gives me more hours in the day because it's not like I can't crawl down on the floor and get the dime that I dropped, but if he does it for me, now I have the energy to come out here and meet you and to talk to people about
Right.
service animals and CCI.
Uh-huh.
The other two are hearing dogs, so they provide people with dogs that can alert them to any sound, and like if you're calling someone's name across the way, or if there's an alarm, a fire alarm going off, a phone ringing, and the dog alerts them by just tapping the person,
Okay.
and they're amazing. We have friends that have hearing dogs and said their life was changed just like our lives were changed. It's just, it's an unimaginable independence no matter how
Yeah.
much you and the fourth kind of dog they raise are facility dogs.
Okay.
So for instance, maybe in Cernans or a place that does their therapeutic stuff, PT and OT, and then they have the dogs. The dog gets matched with a physical therapist or an occupational therapist, and that's who the dog will go home with. But the dog is going to work with all of that person's patients, and so it covers a lot more dogs.
Absolutely.
And a lot of
Cindy-
those dogs are also working in schools, in courthouses, psychiatrist's office, a variety of places.
So they're actually with the facilitator, the doctor or the psychiatrist, whoever it might be that they're sent home with to work with their
And
patients.
that dog works, as long as the dog's working, he has the access rights with the person. It's not the same as our access right. The dog doesn't have the right to be out in public. It's the person that does. So if the dog is with the person in a working situation, that's what gives them that access.
And that independence.
And that incredible independence. I no longer miss meetings because he's there to pull me in.
Well, Cindy, you had said, well, we were all chatting earlier about not only is there in the advanced stage, but that the schooling or the training is so difficult. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Is it harder for you or the animal?
Us.
That's what I heard.
She's right.
She's right.
We go to the center for 2 weeks, stay there in the dorm, train all day. We have field trips, lectures, and practice sessions. And in 2 weeks, we have to learn the 50 commands that the dogs already know.
Wow.
Along with all the grooming procedures and health, and because we are required to keep these dogs very healthy, very clean, so that they're acceptable everywhere.
Wow. Are they always labs?
No.
No, there's labs and Goldens and and mixes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've seen
These are all, he's a mix.
Okay.
Carlisle's
they're,
a mix.
They're
And Belmont is
beautiful.
as well. He doesn't look it, but he does have a little bit of golden in him.
Okay, so, and is it because that type of animal, that type of dog is more easily, the behavior, I mean...
CCI has found that. When they started the program, they did it in a different way, but they have found much more success in the temperament and the willingness to work and the blend that they worked very hard on it since 1975 to get the success rate as high as it is, because not every dog is meant to work, and it doesn't mean they're not smart, it doesn't mean they're not terrific dogs, but it takes a certain match to make it work.
Well, and you were saying too, it's difficult for the for the person more so than for the canine, but it's because the percentages you said of matches are unprecedented in any other group. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, what is it, less than 1%?
Well, about 40% of the puppies that are turned in actually graduate as service dogs.
Right.
The rest either go to another program, such as working for police. There's some trading between the guide dog schools and CCI.
Diabetic alert, seizure
yeah.
alert. They're always looking to try to place the dog.
But I mean once they're placed with the person.
When they're placed with the person, they put more dogs than people in a training class so that the people will match with the dog.
Okay.
And they know when they call you, the way that the application process works, if somebody has a disability or is thinking that the service dog might be right for them, I would suggest if they're ever even thought about it to look into it and give CCI a call and to start the process. Because it's a very long time, very well worth it. I can't think of anything in my life that's been more important to me than doing this. But it's time consuming, and the reason is they want to make sure that it's just the right match. They're not in this for the short haul. We have lifetime follow-up with these dogs and lifetime retesting. There's constantly people helping you and there at every minute, but the reason the matches work as well as they do is because of the time they took in. So there's an application to get an application. Then they'll talk to you to see if they think they can help you. And if they think they can't, they will help you they'll direct you to someone who might be better suited to help you. There are other organizations. For me, CCI was the best.
Of course it is.
When there's medical review and you send in all the medical records you've ever had.
Okay.
There's a phone interview. Then each step you have to pass to get to the next step. Then there's an in-person interview and they call you up and you do the work with another dog and they watch you work and they get the idea of who you are, not just in a disability and your physical needs, but what kind of lifestyle you live. And so they're not going to place a laid-back sleepyhead dog with an athlete. And by the way, we have a lot of athletes at CCI, and it's just because anybody can benefit. This is a dog that's given to somebody that's not just lying there doing nothing. This is a dog that enhances your independence that you already have, and they look at that in people, and they're just so good at matching. Well, good boy, Molly.
He thinks you're talking about him. He just wanted to show his face to everybody.
This is one of the way they retrieve an item, but it's also a really great way to give them pets.
Oh, yes.
I was just going to say, that was one of the, you know, Sean saw something about CCI on TV, and he told Sean, it was on Nightly News, and so then he called my husband, and then, you know, John told me, and then I looked it up, and the process began. It was about 1.5 years for us, and we got a call in November saying, we have a dog we think will be a good match for you. Could you come to the February class? If you can't for whatever reason, you can wait, but we didn't want to take the chance that the dog they thought was perfect for us.
It was like Christmas.
Sean said it was like Christmas, getting the call, because we'd been waiting for so long.
Yeah.
And we got to the training. In the first few days of training, you work with a variety of dogs, as Nancy said, for them to tell you, for them to see your handling style and what your needs are. And then they say, you know, we're going to match you with a dog that we think is good for you, and trust that we know what we're doing. And at that point, that you've gotten to know how awesome the instructors are. The facility is great, and all the support. So we didn't think that we were going to get Belmont. There was another dog that we thought was Belmont wasn't on our top list. And then they said, you know, work with us with what we think is going to be the right choice. Good boy, Belly. And so we did. And the minute we spent just a few moments with him, and the way Sean interacted with him, and the way he was with him, the bonding, the connection, the you know, everything was just instant. And he is the perfect dog for Sean.
What
so.
tight-knit?
They're tight-knit.
Oh, just like, peas and carrots.
Match day is very exciting. The day that they tell us which of these dogs we're going to get, you know, we kind of sit in great tension, and then they bring us our dog.
Because we don't pick, the
so
dog
exciting.
doesn't pick, the instructors pick, CCI picks, and they do it right every time.
Were you surprised?
I suddenly felt tension in the room.
I certainly felt tension in the room.
Yes. But did Sean, did you think you were going to get Belmont?
No.
No.
No. There was a black lab that my husband said, oh, I think he would be great. Our only sort of request for a dog was a dog that would be tall enough so that Sean could pet him from his wheelchair. Because there's some dogs that are smaller for people that they need the dog to be on their lap more. There are dogs that are stronger, meant to pull chairs, things like that, which Sean didn't need. So Belmont was the right height and the perfect puppy. So.
I would like to mention something that's very important to CCI. And that is the Veterans Initiative that they have, the Wounded Veterans Initiative. And they've always, anybody can apply for these dogs, but they do have such an outreach now trying to let the veterans of Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, everywhere. They're coming back wounded because we have a lot more people coming back wounded than ever before. And I'm happy that they've placed a lot of them with our wounded vets, but we're looking to get the word out.
Good. So Wounded Warriors as well, and Veteran Affairs offices is where they, but if they call CCI, again, they're going to be able to
You want
get
to
them
just
to the
connect
right.
and ask the question, and then they
Yes.
will get them to the right place.
And we're leaving the
But
web
it's
address on the
important
screen.
that people know that. Often what I found when people ask me, they always think that you're not disabled enough, or it's simply me, and my veteran friends have told me that, well, it's simply me because I'm strong and I did this and I can handle anything. And that's true, you can, and they can. That does not say you shouldn't have this dog. That's only, it's a team. He is my teammate, and we each take care of each other. And that's what happens with the veterans, and it's just important that if there is somebody out there that has ever thought about it, to contact CCI and talk to them about their particular situation.
Excellent. Cindy, I got it. Go ahead.
Everybody I know that has one of these dogs said at the beginning that they were not disabled enough to get one of these dogs, that somebody else more disabled should have one. But they really do fill out our lives.
Oh. So anyone out there listening that just might even, again, you know, have this feeling in the back of their head, call. It doesn't mean that you might end up with one, but call. Make that call. The number's on the screen. Make it a point. But I just like saying the number, so I'm going to say it again. 1-800-572-BARK. Okay, go ahead. It takes time.
It takes a long time. I waited 2.5 years for Carlisle.
Really? Well, let's go back a little bit to Carlisle. Let's say now you're in that room waiting for your puppy. Talk to me, or your companion. What was your story?
Not on my list of choices either.
Really?
No, not at all. He was a very quiet dog and kind of disappeared into the pack. And I just never thought of him. But he was matched with me because he's such a quiet dog. And I spend the majority of my day resting.
Okay.
That's just fine with him.
And he's happy to help you rest.
These dogs are happy to do whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
They will run with you for 10 miles. They will go for a meeting for 8 hours.
Yes.
Whatever we're doing, they just want to be with you and to help you.
Well, let's talk a bit at this level, because versus the puppy level, what are some of the mistakes we as a society can make when we come up to, you know, let's say Karen, Sean, and Belmont? What mistake could I make?
Well, I think earlier you had, with the puppies, you talked about petting without asking. So I think more so than a mistake, I think the misunderstanding that the dog is sad when he's working. Oh, he looks sad, or he looks like he's being punished.
Always.
And people say, oh, he looks so sad.
That is the focus.
The main objective is their focus.
Focus.
They don't have a party face.
They don't have a party face.
A pouty face.
Oh, a pouty face. I thought it was a party face. I was like, you're right. They certainly don't have a party face.
If people could see them without their vests, you know,
It's
just running in the
not
yard, playing fetch endlessly.
Playing with you.
You know, going through, even when we do our little bits of training at home, practicing how to get under things, because you're always supposed to be unobtrusive and not in the way. Practicing how to put his paws on Sean's lap, or give him something. You know, it's a fun thing for him. So if people could see them without their vest, they're just being serious and they're working. They're not sad.
That's a wonderful point. Thank you for making
I've
that.
had people come up and say, how can you make him work? If they can only see his tail wag faster and faster, the more tasks that he gets to do, he's very happy. And it is difficult if somebody's constantly distracting them, because they are just dogs. They're regular dogs. They're awesome dogs, but they're dogs. So not only do we not want you to just pet them without asking, don't call them, don't make bird whistles, don't kneel them, don't, you know, do those. That's the kind of things that you can do to help. Now, because we have awesome trainers and awesome puppy raisers and awesome dogs, most of the time he won't react even if they're doing all those things.
Okay.
And I thank everybody that came before me that happens. But it does help not to have people run up and grab, because they're supposed to focus on the person. Because it can be life-threatening, you know, if he's helping somebody go up steps or opening and holding a door. You don't want them to drop the door on the person or just turn and chase a squirrel. These dogs are bred and trained so that they will not act on a prey drive. They're not going to run after and chase something.
I remember Cindy talking about that one time, about the squirrel, about the fact that it's a dog's intuition to chase a squirrel. And isn't that part of the training?
The puppy raisers watch carefully, and on their monthly report, they have to mark whether or not the dog has a prey drive. Carlisle doesn't seem to have Squirrels and rabbits are invisible to him.
Yeah, he likes to read. I've been watching him.
He likes to study the inside of his eyelids.
That's right, that's right.
Now, if I called him to do a job, he'd be up instant.
In a second, yeah, absolutely.
They're not sleeping, they're ready. They're waiting to work. This is work. People will say, oh yeah, it looks like he's working. Well, yes, he is working.
About it. It
How
is.
many dogs could just sit there and not move
Exactly.
and not do what, not play around when you're talking?
Because the focus, again, is not supposed to be them, it's you.
Correct.
I love that. That's what we have to remember as a society.
You're talking to the person.
Yes, absolutely. Who is independent because of these animals and is out and able to do things that they may not have been able to do in public or in society. How much continual training do you constantly have to go through? Is it once a month? Is it once every quarter?
I work with him every day.
Okay.
And I would say we probably all do. Yeah, you
even
have
just,
to.
Like if the weather isn't good for Sean to be out and I'm the one walking him by myself around the block, I might stop suddenly so he knows that he's not just ooh la la, you know, he has to stop when I stop. Or either be on my left or in front of me or on my side. We practice getting in and out of elevators safely all the time whenever we have a chance.
We maintain their skills at the same level at which we graduate, and it's important for the safety of the team. Also important when they call us back for retesting.
Do you know when they're calling you back?
Yes.
Okay.
You go back 6 months after you initially get the dog, and then after that you go back a year later, and then after that every 3 years.
I thought it was like a pop quiz. I'd be nervous.
No, but we're all ready.
No.
And remember, they're all on our side. It's not a it's not a conflict. They want you to succeed, and everything about CCI is about success.
I'm just having fun because Sean told me that testing was harder than college. So I was just...
It's emotional and it's physically draining, and it is. It is.
And I think it's mainly hard because you know how beautifully trained they are, and you don't want to do something to mess up the dog.
Understood.
You know, you're supposed to correct them when they do something that's not what you're asking them to do. So you don't want to ask them the wrong thing and then be forced to correct them. And, you know, those kinds.
So that's why I'd rather tell the people not to bother him than have to correct him for responding to them when he shouldn't. It's easier for me to tell the person.
Yes, absolutely. With the people watching in the few minutes we have left, again, advice, anything that you'd like to offer anybody who's listening? Go for it. I love it. I love it.
That says it.
I love it. Anything else,
That
Cindy?
was Nancy's first advice to me when we met.
When I first met Cindy, she hadn't thought about it. I said, come on, start. And now it's so fun to see her with her dog. But it does take time, and it's worth every single minute, and it's worth the effort, and you do have to put in the effort because they want to see that you're a person that would value what this dog can bring to you.
Absolutely. So
watch for our big fundraiser in April.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Where can we watch for it, and how can we help donate?
Sunday, April 22nd, 2013, at the Annapolis Marriott Waterfront from 1 to 5 is going to be Sails and Tails. We do an annual fundraiser, and people can come. Pets cannot come, but the room is full of CCI dogs, so anybody that want to come and get their fill of puppies and
very well-behaved puppies.
All ages. You can see the little tiny ones right up to the 8-year-old ones.
So look for in the paper. We'll start advertising that in the winter, in January and February, and the news will get out there.
And you know, we'll put it in
and it'll be on the
City Hall
website.
column. And our website.
And something tells me the city of Annapolis will be supporting.
I have a really good feeling about that. Call me crazy, but even Belmont said I had to get involved, so I said, you got it. You got it. Well, thank you all again so much for being with us. And thank you for educating us, as well as allowing us to just kind of be a part of your lives, because anytime somebody can open their hearts like you have to help us become better citizens, I applaud you all, and thank you so much for helping us be better.
Thanks.
And thank you all for watching all around Annapolis. If you'd like more information, please call the number you see on your screen. I'm going to say it again just because I like saying it. 1-800-572. Say it.
Bark.
Bark. Good. Thank you, Sean. And also contact them at CCI on the web address that you see on your screen. I'll look forward to seeing you around Annapolis. And until then, you have a great week.